It's a rap, fade to black when they pass out. See the schemes that you run in, it's a glass house. Pull up to your front door with the mask off. Yeah.
Wait a minute. I'm curious. Let's see what I have. Hey, stop. Like, yo, that's not gonna stop us. What's that right? Yeah, I got you. You keep your lollipop, Blakey. Thank you. You really shouldn't take anything that's not yours. Sorry, I just wanted a lollipop. Wait a minute, let's see what I have in my notes. Here, I have one just for you. Okay? Right, girl? All in a day's work.
Need extra funds? Whether it's sick, elevation, an unexpected expense, or a big goal, Upgrade has you covered with personal loans. Upgrade makes it easy to see if you qualify. Just check your rates in minutes with no impact on your credit score and no prepayment. With clear offer terms, affordable rates, and loan amounts up to $50,000, Upgrade offers you the flexibility to borrow for what matters most to you. Once approved, you can see funds in your account as quickly as 24 hours. Get peace of mind with a personal loan through Upgrade.
The highly anticipated annual gameplay breakdown video. We're going to be going over everything gameplay related inside this video when it comes to NBA 2K26. We'll be talking about the no RNG pure green window shooting from both 3-point and mid-range. We're going to be talking about the new custom layups and how consistent we think those are going to be. The new dunk meter. We're able to see the green window again, but is it any good? We're going to be talking about dribbling. Can tall build speed boost again? Of course, we've got to cover on-ball defense for all you rocks out there. Paint defense, rebounding. We got everything you need when it comes to 2K26 gameplay. I'm also going to be posting some unedited, raw, full game online user versus user gameplay here shortly, so stay on the lookout for that. But take a second, drop a like on the video for me. Let's try to get this video to 20,000 likes, and let's get into this NBA 2K26 gameplay breakdown. Alright, first things first, all the play now clips in this video are on Hall of Fame difficulty. We're going to start off with some dribbling in the Learn 2K core. I don't know what the difficulty was on in there because lights were going in, but the play now clips are all on Hall of Fame. All right, let's start this off with dribbling. A lot of questions to be answered here, a lot of clips here for you to enjoy. Let's talk about it. First thing to remember, these are NBA players. They do not have optimized states. You cannot change their states. They have whatever they have. Durant has Durant states. De'Aaron Fox has De'Aaron Fox states, etc. But the gameplay you're going to see tomorrow, I can't really speak on it, but it's with the My Players. In the test builder, you could change your states, and it is a night and day difference from how the NBA players move to how you can move when you're able to change your states. But this will give you at least a general idea of how it looks. And you know how people are bursting, and obviously I know a lot of people from my channel are gonna be like, bro, like are the big builds bursting again? And yes, you can speed boost on big builds. It's a night and day difference between 2K25 and 2K26. And people might say, well, what about the small guards? And yes, the small guards can fly. They can really chain stuff together. People are definitely going to find some glitchy stuff. You see, you can spam behind the back. You can spam escapes. There's some really, really good launching behind the backs now, and you can start to combo those with like explosive behind the backs and momentum behind the backs. And you see, I mean, that's 6'11" Kevin Durant changing directions on a dime. You guys are starting to see some of the momentum crossovers. Now, I do want to mention, there's only so many hours in the day at Community Day that you can't really like fully focus on everything. And my boy Young Dirk was really focused on dribbling, so he sent me all these clips in the Learn 2K. So I'm going to leave the link to his dribble tutorial down below if you want to see more about dribbling after you finish this video. But shout out to Young Dirk for hooking me up with the clips. I did get some dribble clips, so like I wasn't going to spend hours on it when I knew other people were doing it. I wanted to focus on other areas of the game so we could get as much information as possible. But what's really nice to see is all these different NBA players have different dribble styles. You know, like Curry has his, Fox has his, Kevin Durant has his, Jimmy Butler has his, etc. And they can all speed boost. And that's just a breath of fresh air. Because I feel like in past 2Ks, it was like only one or two dribble styles could really burst cleanly. It was like you were forced to use them. Now, there's probably going to end up being like a couple that are better than all the other ones. You don't get what I'm saying? Like before, it was like no matter what, if you weren't using Darius Garland last year, you had a hitch run out or you had a no burst run out of dribbles. It looks like there's multiple dribble styles now that can burst. And again, this isn't even with optimal SIGs to go with the dribble style. This is just what the NBA players have on. So just wait till tomorrow when y'all can see how the My Players are moving. Now, I'm definitely interested in your thoughts on the dribbling from what you've seen here. So get your comments in down below and let's start the discussion. That is the Scottie Pippen behind the backs that Mike was talking about. You know, they added some more explosive kind of behind the back dribble moves into the game. And that Scottie definitely launches you forward. There's also, I think the Kobe White one felt pretty good. I was experimenting with it. Now, I know a lot of you guys probably want my opinion on dribbling. So here it is. I spent a fraction of the time dribbling as other creators, like Dirk and Koza and other creators. They spent the majority of the day dribbling. I spent probably 20, 30 minutes, tried it out, and then went to go get other information. But here's what I felt. It felt much more explosive than last year. It felt,
Before skating, shopping for the perfect outfit was always a struggle. Even when I actually found something I liked, either the fit was off or the price was outrageous. With Stately, I have my own personal stylist. You don't have to deal with the hassle or expensive shopping. Elevate your everyday look with Stately.
Bingo. That's true. But I didn't say anything
much more dynamic and like you had more burst, you had more pop with the ball in your hands. It felt like you could chain things together much more quickly. And most importantly for me personally, it just felt more fun. Now I understand the bar from 2K25 was so low, so to say it was better or more fun than that is like not really saying much, which I get. But it's just how I felt. Like dribbling around, I was like, man, this feels a lot more enjoyable than what I was doing the last 12 months. So we'll see how the game feels at the official launch day. Because remember last year, people at Community Day found certain ways to speed boost dribbling wise, and then it was removed by the time the actual game
messing up
came out.
your show.
So hopefully that's not the case this year. Hopefully all this stuff people are
Daddy messing up your show.
Be dynamic.
Messing up your show.
Hopefully all that stuff is there at launch, and then we can really dive into it as a community and find some crazy stuff. But that's enough about dribbling. Let's move on to some other games.
Why you working your fingers on my bed, little girl?
Shot contest. Got a bunch of clips here. Some are going to be open, some contested, some green, some this. I want y'all to just take a look at it, and I'm going to just let it play, and you guys can kind of discuss how the contest system looks, and get your thoughts down below in the comments. I will say a few things. I know people are asking about RNG and the pure green window and how did it feel and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's just a few hours that I was playing the game, so I had to get my builder stuff done and all that. But the green window definitely felt more precise. Like when you got it right, it was green, but when you got it wrong, it was earlier, it was late, and you were like, it was like you were slightly off, it was daunting. So when I talked to Mike in that interview I did with him, he explained it, if you compare it to anything, with like a more skill-based 2K24 shooting system. And I kind of see where he's coming from, just because of, yes, you have the pure green window, but you got to be more precise than you are on 24. And I did feel that, and obviously it's just a few hours. We'll see how it plays out when the game actually drops. But another thing that was noticeable was player height really matters still on the shooting. The taller builds definitely shoot over people and, get contested less than the shorter builds. And Kevin Durant was an absolute god because of that. I mean, KD was insane on this. All right, we're going to switch gears over to mid-range a little bit here. And I'll be honest with you, the mid-range felt really good. Tested it with KD, Shea, I think there's maybe a Kirby clip, a Luka clip. Like, definitely shot a few middies here and there, but we're definitely using it a lot with Kevin Durant, just trying to see how the contest system was registering. I had somebody using Shea on the other team, and I was using KD. They were basically tested mid-ranges for a good 10, 15 minutes straight. They feel really, really good. I know they were good on 25. They feel really good on 26. And again, the height thing, I know I'm harping on it a lot, but like, you start to see how people are, you saw in the dribbling at the beginning of this game, right? Like, people are able to move now on the bigger players. And that wasn't even my players, like I said. That was NBA players, and we were still bursting and doing all that. And you combine it with the fact that you're really shooting over people in terms of that advantage. Like, you might actually see a back and forth this year of small guards and big guards both being viable again. I think overall for the game, that would be beautiful. A little bit more build diversity, a little bit more play style diversity. And what I will say about shot contests is they definitely felt stronger than 2K25. 2K25 to me felt like you were kind of praying for a contest. Like, 90% of stuff just registered open. It didn't feel like that on this game. It definitely felt stronger, but not stronger to the point where ghost contests were happening like in past 2Ks. If a dude had his hand down, especially against a guy like Durant, who's so tall, but even other players that we tested like Shea and stuff, it would say open if their hand was down. So if they reached and shot it, it said open. If they jump, but they were, super late getting out, people would still say open. If you created enough space, like on that fade over check right there, it says open. But then if they, if they're under you and they get a hand near the face or near where the ball was, or they jump in time to get there before you release the ball, they register some type of contest. Now let's talk about rhythm shooting. New rhythm shooting system, right? Apparently, you only have to green the tempo. And that is confirmed. You're about to see a couple clips of it, and I don't know how I feel about it. I'm going to be honest. Now, apparently, if you don't green the timing, it makes it harder to green the tempo.
What I was going to do is
the tempo still goes in. And I'll be honest, I'm going to be kind of like, man, you're making it right. It's kind of what I feel like, even though I understand the system. But when you turn the meter on, it's
I just had ass out there. I'm kidding.
I'm like, bro, this dude is making a 3/4 bar shot, but I understand the logic is different now. But I think we're all like ingrained in the 2K25 rhythm shooting system. Let me know your comments down below. Let's talk quick about perimeter defense bumps. You see right here, Lou Dort cuts off Kevin Durant coming up the court, and they get a physical body up, cut off, like bump underneath. If someone's moving, if a dribbler is moving, and you cut them off, you will get a bump, physical body up bump. But a big difference I noticed was on 2K25, if someone was standstill dribbling at the top of the key, you could just like press against them and interrupt that dribble sequence. Now I'm not going to say it's impossible to interrupt someone's standstill dribble sequence, because obviously I just tested it in the limited amount of time that I had, but it definitely felt night and day difference to 25. 25 felt like if someone's dribbling, on the perimeter standstill, you could just basically run up to them, hold the dribble combo, and it would put their player in like a bump in. Didn't feel like that on this game until they started moving. Once they started to try to burst past you left or right, or try to drive to the basket or whatever, then if you were running with them, then there would be some type of body up collision. But we'll have to see, how that plays out throughout the year. But it definitely was a noticeable difference, in my opinion. Last quick thing for perimeter defense bumps. Off the little push cross here into the defender's leg, lose the ball. I know a lot of people are like anti-push cross, anti-near box crossover. Well, position yourself correctly, you could be knocking that ball free without even having to reach. All right, let's talk about layups. Custom layups and slow-mo Euros and all this new layup stuff they're adding, so let's talk about it. Layups definitely felt much improved from 2K25, but that's not saying much. Layups were pretty awesome in 2K25. Size matters. You saw that one right there with Giannis. You're going to see some with Trey. Luka, size matters in terms of getting contested. It felt like the bigger players definitely could go up with more 50-50 takes, and the green window would stay up there bigger than the smaller players. But overall, whether it was Trey, Luka, De'Aaron Fox, Giannis, whoever it was, being able to see the green window, I know it was an old feature, like we had it in 2K24, then they got rid of it, they brought it back. I'm not hyping it up like, whoa, but it's just nice to be able to see it, not only to help you know when to release the timing of the layup, but also so you know what's a good take and a bad take and help you understand what you can and can't go up. Now let's talk about that. Dunk meter. I know a lot of you guys have been asking about this, so let's talk about it. First thing I'll say, size matters again. It felt like the bigger players got more consistent green windows. Some concerning things was I still feel like there's some kinks that need to be worked out in terms of the game. I have a couple of specific clips coming up here in just a second. And I did bring it to their attention, and I'm sure other people did as well at Community Day. And as we know, we saw last year, they definitely make changes after Community Day. Last year they nerfed builds and then took out certain dribble speed boost animations and stuff. But check out a couple of these animations. You're going to see me beat the defender or whoever I'm playing against gets past me, or just, drive into the basket right here. And Edwards slides through with a clear path to the hoop by the time he goes over the dunk, and the dunk window stays small. So that's a little alarming to me, and I feel like there's still some kinks to definitely work out. Like this one right here, it's a clean drive. Hoop by the defender, clean line at the hoop, but because, when I started to dunk, maybe the defender was still, pushed against me. I'm not really sure. Like I said, there's definitely some stuff to still fix. But even with that being said, we're still getting some nice contact dumps at times. Sometimes the green windows were big, sometimes they were small, so definitely figuring out exactly how the logic works. But something I definitely like is when they take you out of the dunk meter, you turn it into a layup, and it's actually a pretty greenable layup. So I feel like that is a nice change, instead of it just being like, I went up for a dunk meter, they took me out of the dunk meter, and now the play's hooked. In real life, it's like, oh, I wanted to dunk it, but now I got hit, so I want to, adjust my body and be able to turn it into a layup type of thing. So let me see how the dunk meter plays out. I'm not really sure if it's good or bad. I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure. I need to see more, and I need to see what kind of changes or tweaks are.
Well, beautiful job there to posture up and land another big, massive shot lands. Look at how tough of the opponent is, though. Still standing, still in that fight.
We're still on for you. Daddy, I'm gonna put this show on for you.
Oh, he got to a spot.
My
Big. Most of them upstairs, and when those big shots
Let's move on to interior defensive standing, though. There's definitely some crazy interior defense animations. Look at this one by Rudy. I mean, to be fair, it's Rudy and Wendy. They have great interior defense stats. But you can definitely get some crazy stuff. Now, wide open standing meter dunks. You see how big the green window is. And then even standing meter dunks against smaller defenders, like Wendy just, going up over smaller defenders. See the size of the green window. It kind of feels like you can get crazy stops, but you could also get crazy dunks. It's kind of, I'm not really sure. We'll have to see how it plays out, but they both definitely felt viable. If you timed when you were going to jump to get the stop, it's you could get crazy in. But you could also, if you went up with a standing dunk and they weren't entirely properly positioned, he was just booming on him. Also, a little detail I noticed right here was as Joel was backing down Wemby, look at when Wemby jumped, his hand was behind, like Joel pinned him so deep in the dead zone that when he jumped, his hand hit the back of the backboard and it registered open. I feel like in past games, sometimes if you did that, it would still register a contest just because it was like, it thought you were supposed to be there, but you weren't actually there because you got stuck on the hoop. I don't know, I just something like a small little detail I noticed. But you see the size of these standing dunk meters, you could definitely go crazy with the standing dunks, but then you also saw some of the paint stop animations I was getting. Is like you could definitely go crazy with the interior stops as well. Like here's one from Wemby. I mean, I'm not really sure which one's going to be better, but they both definitely felt viable, at least for the little bit that I tested. Last thing, rebounding. You can turn off the green feedback in the player HUD. I did notice that. I know some people have been asking that, but as you can see, you don't have to green the rebound to get it. You know, Mike has already talked about that, but just so people could be clear about that. And then even here, I'm on Jokic. I green the rebound, and my teammate grabs it instead of me. So just because you green it doesn't mean you're automatically going to get it. But this is what the green feedback looks like. Figure we'll just touch on that real quick. But if you guys want to see raw, unedited footage of the first part game in NBA 2K26, click that video on the screen right there. You will get to see full gameplay with no edits to truly see how the gameplay is looking. Some contested of the game so we can get as much information as possible. But what's really nice to see is all these different NBA players have different dribble styles. You know, like Curry has his, Fox has his, Kevin Durant has his, Jimmy Butler has his, etc. And they can all speed boost. And that's just a breath of fresh air. Because I feel like in past 2Ks, it was like only one or two dribble styles could really burst cleanly. So it was like you were forced to use them. Now, there's probably going to end up being like a couple that are better than all the other ones. Y'all get what I'm saying? Like before it was like, no matter what, if you weren't using Darius Garland last year, you had a hitch run out or just you had a no burst run out of dribble moves. It looks like there's multiple dribble styles now that can burst. And again, this isn't even with optimal SIGs to go with the dribble style. This is just what the NBA players have on. So just wait till tomorrow when y'all can see how the my players are moving. Now, I'm definitely interested in your thoughts on the dribbling from what you've seen here. So get your comments in down below and let's start the discussion. That is the Scottie Pippen behind the back that Mike was talking about. You know, they added some more explosive kind of behind the back dribble moves into the game. And that Scottie definitely launches you forward. There's also, I think the Kobe White one felt pretty good. I was experimenting with it. Now, I know a lot of you guys probably want my opinion on dribbling. So here it is. I spent a fraction of the time dribbling as other creators. Dirk and Koza and other creators, they spent majority of the day dribbling. I spent probably 20, 30 minutes, tried it out, and then went to go get other information. But here's what I felt. It felt much more explosive than last year. It felt much more dynamic and you had more burst, you had more pop with the ball in your hands. It felt like you could chain things together much more quickly. And most importantly for me personally, it just felt more fun. Now, I understand the bar for 2K25 was set extremely low, so to say it was better or more fun than that is like, well, you know, you're not really saying much, which I get, but it's just how I felt. Like, dribbling there, I was like, damn, like, this feels a lot more enjoyable than what I was doing the last 12 months on 2K25. So we'll see how the game feels at the official launch date. Because remember, last year, people at Community Today found certain ways to speed boost dribbling-wise, and then it was removed by the time the actual game came out. So hopefully that's not the case this year. Hopefully all this stuff, people are finding their ways to burst and be dynamic and be explosive off the dribble. Hopefully all that stuff is there at launch, and then we can really dive into it as a community and find some crazy stuff. But that's enough about dribbling. Let's move on to some other gameplay aspects. All right, let's talk about shooting and shot contests. Got a bunch of clips here. Some are going to be open, some contested, some green, some missed. Want y'all to just take a look at it, and I'm going to just let it play, and you guys can kind of start to assess, you know, how the shooting looks, how the contest system looks, and get your thoughts down below in the comments. I will say a few things. I know people are going to ask about RNG and the pure green window and how does it feel and blah, blah, blah. Obviously, it's just a few, you know, hours that I was playing the game, so I also had to get, you know, my builder stuff done and all that. But the green window definitely felt more precise.